We'll talk about the media, immigration, what the system actually wants. Monica Paige is here with a report from the White House, Senator Ron Johnson, all that and more coming up on I'm Right. Let's talk about the media and the system and illegal immigration because Trump sat down with ABC's Terry Moran last night and a lot came of it. But I want you to feel good about something before we get into what they want. The border is secure. The border is secure. Now, I realize sometimes in life, the bare minimum doesn't feel like a win. You, a citizen of any country, let alone the United States of America, you deserve a government that will secure your border. That's kind of the bare minimum. But we have to understand where we are as a country. Where we are is we have an occupying, hostile force within our borders. They're known as Democrats. And they open up borders on purpose to destroy the country. That's half the country. So if we have successfully fought any battles, political battles, and at the end of that political battle, it has ended in a secure border, that is something to feel good about. I know it's not enough, and I know about the deportations and all the other things, but a secure border is something to feel good about. The Trump administration right now, they're 100 days in. And he gave a big 100-day speech yesterday and all those other things. And I got all that. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to sit and focus on that. But no matter what you think about the economy or tariffs or the judges or anything else going on, a secure border is a big win. And it's a win we did not have for 4 years. For 4 years, you and I had to sit there helplessly and just watch on the television set as barbarians by the million came pouring into our country with nothing we could do about it. We got mad, we got off the couch, we went and voted in Donald Trump, and now the border got secured. Feel good about that. Trump was talking about it. Here he was.
The last administration engineered a massive border invasion. But standing before you today, I can proudly report that this heinous betrayal is over and that we have achieved the most secure border in American history by far. In American history.
Most secure border in American history. So why don't they want that? Normal people will have such a hard time understanding why. What's the goal? And if you pay attention to the news at all, and obviously you do, otherwise you wouldn't be watching I'm Right Here. Why is this like a Western civilization thing? In the UK, wake up every day and you see their stupid PM talking on the news about how they need more, how native Brits need to shut up. Germany, same. How many years have we watched Germany be invaded? France, same thing. The Catholic churches are being burnt down. The mosques are being built. Canada, same thing. What is happening? Why do all these Western civilization countries seem to be on the exact same import barbarians program? I don't get it. I don't understand. Let me explain. First, this is going to be hard to accept for the normies out there. You need to set aside your morality when you're trying to figure out what they're doing. And I say that because they don't share your morality at all. They know how to pretend to. They know how to pretend to share your heart and share your concerns, but they don't share your morality at all. And here's what they'll do. Here's how they sell this to you. At least it'll tone down your anger a little bit. Well, we just have different views on the border. Shouldn't everybody get to enjoy America? We're a nation of immigrants. It's a melting pot. They use these terms not because they believe them or care about them at all. They think you do. And they think, well, if we just call it a melting pot enough times, they'll kind of just back off. But that's not really what they want. It's not what they believe. So what is the deal? Same thing here. America's Democrats, the UK's Labour Party, why are they all doing the exact same thing? Well, it's quite simple, actually. You need to look at the world the way they look at the world. So just picture the world. Now, here's how they look at it. For one, the concept of country, of nations. America means absolutely nothing to these people. It means nothing. If you don't get that point, you honestly should turn off the television right now because nothing else will ever make sense to you. That feeling you get when you're it's baseball season, when you're at a baseball game, high school, college, maybe even pro, and you put your hand over your heart as they hit the land of the free and the national anthem, and you just get that moment. You still get it, don't you? That patriotic pride that swells up inside of you, maybe even get a little misty. These people haven't felt that in years, if ever. That doesn't exist inside of them. They don't think about the concept of country. When they look at the globe, everything's about power. About power. They want more of it. They want more power. They want more control. They believe that Western civilization itself, this whole people having a voice thing, they think that was a mistake, actually. They'll never admit this to you, but they should just be allowed to rule everything. They've made many public comments revealing that's what they actually think. They should be in control of everything. You should shut up and do what you're told and say what you're told. And that's what they believe. Okay, so that's their goal. How do they go about doing that? How do they get that? Because these countries, America, we'll just stick with us, America has all these rights, the Constitution, all these limits on their power. How do you handle that? And America has, and the same in other countries, but America has all these people like you. And believe me, they talk about you. Did you know that? They meet and they discuss how to deal with you. You are their ultimate enemy. The patriotic citizen is their ultimate enemy. The patriotic citizen that wants what's best for America. Well, if I'm some globalist who's only trying to get power, that patriotic citizen, he stands against everything I stand for. He's my enemy. Okay, so what do they do about you? Outnumber you. That's all. You see, the problem is you have power. You do. You know that? You have an incredible amount of power, more than you think you do. The ability to vote, not just federal elections. Maybe that makes you feel small because there's millions of people who do it. State elections, local elections. Almost nobody shows up for local elections. You have an incredible amount of power in your own community. Do you use it, by the way? Anyway, you have incredible amounts of power. They know that. They find a way to take it away from you. And the easiest way to do that is the mass importation of foreigners. Because somebody who wants to come here, maybe there's someone who wants to come here and commit crimes, maybe they're just somebody who wants to come here and clean the office building you work in. But no matter who they are, if a political party says they're going to bring them in and allow them to stay here and luxuriate in America, do you think that person will be a loyal Democrat, leftist, the rest of their lives? Of course they will. A foreigner can be bought. A foreigner's loyalty can be bought on the cheap. You're expensive. You want things. You want the government to do things, secure your border and things like that. Foreigner doesn't demand these things. Foreigner wants a $500 visa check and to be left alone to make some pupusas. That's what the foreigner wants. And so they bring them in. This is not a new concept. Guys like Plato used to talk about this. Aristotle, that's how evil people are. Bring in foreigners, as many as you can, because they will outnumber the patriotic people, and then you can take as much power as you want. That's what the system wants. And so when you see Terry Moran sit down, ABC's Terry Moran, he pretends to be a journalist, but he's an apparatchik. When you see him sit down with Donald Trump and try to hand-wring about the tattoos that may have been adjusted or on the MS-13 guy's knuckles, just know that it's not about the MS-13 guy. It's not about the tattoo. It's about none of these things. Terry Moran sat and cheered while Democrats imported 20 million barbarians for 4 years because he understands that will break the country. That's what he wants. Now, if we deport these people, that'll save the country. He can't afford that. So he'll make an issue of it.
Murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it. By law. And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
Yeah, that was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry. but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture. We'll
and you think it
agree
was
to disagree.
Photoshop? Well,
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No,
sir.
Terry,
I want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
No. He had MS, as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there,
the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
I wanted you to watch that entire thing. And if it wasn't for time, I would ask the producer to play it again. Please don't play it again, Matt, because it is long. But I wanted you to watch that, not so you can wave pom-poms. Yay, Trump, yay. I wanted you to watch that because what he did is exactly what you should do when you find yourself in debates with communists. I know this happens when your liberal Aunt Peggy starts yelling and screaming. What he just did was put on a clinic in ways that I've actually never seen him do before. It was masterful. It was masterful. And here's what he did. You see, the communist, remember, he's a mile wide and an inch deep. He's trying to destroy, and he's had lies uploaded to him by the hive mind. But he can't speak with any depth on anything, and he doesn't want to. He wants to tell a lie, move on. Tell a lie, move on. Tell a lie, move on. And it's a tactic they use. And so what they will do is they'll do things like, well, what Terry Moran tried to do. Well, I mean, there's some dispute about that. Anyway, let's move on. Trump wouldn't let him. Trump didn't get angry, you see. Didn't start yelling and don't let a liberal Aunt Peggy get a rise out of you. Stay calm. Trump didn't let him. No. You said it wasn't. Okay, well, let's move on. No, we're not going to move on. You said it wasn't. They will desperately try to move on. Trump didn't let him. Trump didn't allow him to move on. Trump stayed calm, and he made sure the communist was forced to stay and discuss the lie he just told. It was chef's kiss perfection. That is how you debate with communists when you meet them in your own lives. Don't let them move on. Don't let them lie, and don't get angry. They'll win if you get angry. You stick them. No. You said. You just got done saying. Do you want me to play the tape again? You said it wasn't, but it was. Well, I don't know. I'm just a reporter. But there's dispute. Anyway, let's move on. No. We're not going to move on. That's what you said. But back to Terry Moran, back to what he wants. He was practically on his knees begging to bring the guy back.
Came into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up, and with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has
he's
ordered
not.
you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Court.
Why does Terry want him back so bad? Does he just have a good heart? It's just naive, just misguided? No. Terry's a communist apparatchik. He understands full well what we discussed to open up this show, that the mass importation of foreign barbarians is the central pillar of global communism now because it's necessary to destroy Western civilization. That's why he sits and begs, please bring him back. We need him here. We need him raping people here, please. That's what he wants. Don't give him the benefit of the doubt. Why do you think CNN blurred out the pictures of all the illegals the White House put out in front? Why do you think they did that?
The Trump administration is approaching its first 100-day mark with a full court press on the issue of illegal immigration, and they really don't want you to miss it. So they subtly and tastefully deck the White House North Lawn with dozens of yard signs featuring photos of people that the Trump administration claims are in the country illegally, each poster saying arrested and listing the alleged offensive with which they have been charged. CNN's working to confirm the identities and if there are actual allegations against these people. Until then, we are blurring their identities.
That's, of course, a lie. You know that. It's a lie. Jake Tapper's lying. CNN's lying. They show the names and faces of people who had allegations against them all the time without hesitation. So why blur the names and faces of illegals? Because CNN is part of the system that wants the mass importation of barbarians to bring your country to its knees. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am.
You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he
Still?
does. I think
Even with
because
the
of
raining missiles
I
on?
think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust
I
him?
think-
Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
And
happy.
then you start hitting me with fake questions.
Joining me now, Monica Paige, White House correspondent with Turning Point USA. Monica, obviously it was a fiery interview, to put it mildly. What is it with these people in the Putin stuff? Does the public still buy into this crap?
Absolutely not, Jesse. And it's so funny that you played that clip to start off the segment, because Terry's actually here, by the way. I actually passed him in the security booth. He's here on the White House grounds. Not entirely sure what he's doing here after that very embarrassing and disastrous interview. He came firing on all cylinders against President Trump when clearly he doesn't really know what he's talking about. This administration has not only had facts, but the numbers on the side to back up what President Trump has been saying. He is negotiating with Vladimir Putin. He's negotiating with Vladimir Zelensky. And actually today, during the cabinet meeting, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, says they are pretty much close to signing that minerals deal as soon as this afternoon, from what I understand. So they are getting a move on these conversations. And it's embarrassing for somebody like Terry to come at President Trump. The media is clearly on the offense here when it comes to the president, and the American public is not buying it. I was on the ground yesterday speaking to Michiganders while the president was celebrating his 100 days rally, and they are clearly very much on board. It was a loud and rowdy audience. Everyone is definitely on board with the president's message and his agenda. And don't buy into what the mainstream media is selling you. Do not buy it, because clearly they have been wrong back in 2016 and they're still just as wrong now.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to spend time in that horrible state. Anyway, let's talk briefly about the White House and the minerals deal, because they had a minerals deal. They had it signed. They had the binders ready, from my understanding, with the press conference, and then Zelensky came in for some reason and blew the whole thing up. It was a complete disaster. The White House, what did they make of that whole thing?
Yeah, from what I understand, the White House was very disappointed in the actions that Vladimir Zelensky really took during that entire meeting. He showed up, I guess, looking to be a little bit more on the aggressive side, but that doesn't play over with President Trump. If you want a deal, you should be willing to make one. You're not going to tell our country how we're going to feel, what we're going to do, how we're going to act, and how we're going to say it. That's just not what this administration and this president is doing. You can't just walk in here and just start calling the shots. That's not how this works. You come into our country, you're a guest here. And I think that's what the president was trying to portray during that meeting. But from what I understand, there are still very much talks behind the scenes. As we know, the president met with Vladimir Putin during the Pope's funeral in Italy this past week. And I'm assuming that those talks went very well, because I don't know what President Trump had said behind closed doors, but they are clearly making some progress. It's baby steps, but it's definitely a step in the right direction in finally getting this war finished and done with, a war that, as President Trump says, has never should have been started.
Yeah. Trump and Moran also went back and forth on Joe Biden's decline. Here it was.
Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across the stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst, I have to be honest with you.
Thank
Well, ABC is one of the worst, and I'm glad he's staying on this, because the media is trying desperately to do we were lied to, we didn't know. Of course they knew. They covered it up because they're evil demons.
Yeah, I'm surprised Terry didn't do some damage control there and try to cover up the president's decline then, the former president's decline then, excuse me. And what's interesting is that I covered this White House under Joe Biden. And the moments that I did see him, it was very apparent. You didn't need the mainstream media to tell you that. You just needed to be an average everyday American watching the TV screen. And what's funny is that this mainstream media was trying to play it as if the president was sharp. He was focused. He was there. He was with it. But all the signs were there. I mean, you had a masked face, little to no emotion on his face, garbled speech. No one understood what he was saying half the time, and a very stiffened gait when he walked across the lawn to either depart or return back from wherever he was going. And those were all the telltale signs that it was dementia or it was Parkinson's, some kind of very mild version of it. I'm not here to diagnose the former president, but I saw, because I had a family member, my grandmother, she dealt with it, and I'm sure everybody has had a family member that has dealt with it. And what's so alarming is that during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, they awarded Alex Thompson for bringing this to light and having the best reporting on the former president's decline. That was comedic. That is laughable, because this was the same administration, the same reporters that told us, no, he's making all these deals. Look at the president go. He is so sharp and focused, and don't listen to what he's saying. He's just maybe a little bit older, a little bit wiser. And that just wasn't the case. I did a whole 30-minute investigative piece on the president's decline. And whoever Alex Thompson is, didn't even scratch the surface of some of the things that I uncovered and who I spoke to regarding the former president's condition. So it's laughable. And I'm surprised that the mainstream media is still playing along with this and still won't admit it, that they were the ones involved in the biggest cover-up scheme to go down in history.
Yeah, Monica, the way I see it by this point in time, I think they doth protest too much, meaning they keep bringing this up. Hey, we didn't lie, we didn't cover it up, we didn't lie, we didn't cover it up. I get the sense that the media thinks that they lost significant credibility with their cover-up, but I don't work with these people every day, thank God. You do. Do you get that sense?
Absolutely. And it's evident in the briefing rooms every single day, because I feel like between the new media along the sides of the room there, and between some of the things that I've been hearing on the ground with voters, everyday Americans, those who tune into the press briefings, the current theme is that, everyday people are not taking the mainstream media seriously anymore. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. The Biden administration bred a sense of elitism in that press briefing room, and bred a sense of elitism to mainstream media reporters as well. So to see how the outsiders are kind of looking into this White House with these reporters and how they covered or didn't cover Joe Biden's cognitive decline is something that I feel like was completely lost. Nobody trusts the mainstream media anymore. And that's really the sense that I get. And that's why these mainstream outlets are dying out. More people are tuning into you. They're tuning into other people who have podcast shows, Megyn Kelly, you name it, Turning Point USA shows, Charlie Kirk, all doing fantastic job in bringing the truth, because you can't hide the truth. There's only so much you can hide from the American people until things don't start adding up. And that's what happened with Joe Biden.
Yeah, thank God it did. Monica, appreciate you. Come back soon. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.